Thank you all so much. With the elected officials, with Senator Kadis and the people who are running, would you guys come up here, if you don't mind? I just want to start out. I'm going to talk about my dad and Senator Obama in a minute, but I just wanted to start out by with talking a little bit about President Bush and the comments that he made yesterday at the Knesset, which were just absolutely irresponsible. And to deliberately mislead a foreign audience and us about Senator Obama's position is to me an outrage. You know, Senator Obama will never negotiate with terrorists. There's a difference between talking with foreign countries and appeasement. Neville Chamberlain gave half of Czechoslovakia to Adolf Hitler. That's appeasement. Talking directly with the Iranians is the most necessary and important, is a most necessary and important aspect of our foreign policy. President Bush has refused to speak to the Iranians for 5 years. And for 5 years, we've delegated our interests to the European Union. And Europe and the United States have very different interests in Iran. And ours are not being met, they're not being addressed, because there's a fear of speaking with our enemies. When we speak to our enemies, we do so from a position of strength. And as long as we continue to do that, we will never have to appease them. And that is Senator Obama's position. And I would just add to that if Senator Obama had been president, we never would have gotten into the war in Iraq. All of our troops would be fighting in Afghanistan. They would find Osama bin Laden. They would break up Al-Qaeda. That's where our troops should be. And when he is elected, that's where the fight is going to be. He will be the worst enemy that these terrorists have ever had. And the United States will be too. So I want to just speak also for a minute to thank South Dakota for the role you've played in my family's life. The relationships that were begun here 40 years ago have continued. Madonna is back there at the end of the room. She was with my mother at Alcatraz when the Indians conjointly took over the island, because that's where the buffalo will return. And they changed the national Indian policy. And I was so proud of my mom to go there to Alcatraz. At that time, the federal government was threatening to take over, to invade the island. And I remember that we were all scared. We were little kids at home. But it was so amazing of you, Mom, so thank you. All my life, I've met people, and I've met several in this room, who met my father, shook hands with my father, heard my father speak when he was down at the hotel. And they've told me that they loved him. And so I've understood that that happened. But I've never felt anything like that for a politician until I began to see Senator Barack Obama. And I am so grateful, for my generation to have a candidate who inspires us this way. I've been traveling all around the country, and I've been visiting our campaign headquarters and talking with volunteers. And, his candidacy has become a movement. And it's a movement for our generation to unify this country and to bring us together again. When you look at the debates that were going on in 1968, there was a basic premise that the Republican Party and the Democratic Party all wanted to do what was best for America. They disagreed in terms of the best policies to do that, but they all respected and honored each other. And I think Barack Obama is going to bring that back. And with your help, he will. And I want to thank you for coming down here today. When my father went down to Pine Ridge, he was the first major presidential candidate to visit any Indian reservation. And he did, he was a very curious person. But I think that moment in American history was, really an icon for what the 1960s became. You had, on the one hand, the brother of the President of the United States, a man from a well-to-do family, educated at the finest schools, who was sitting down with a group of people who had been marginalized, separated apart from the rest of this country for generation after generation. And that, when you see my dad on that reservation, and you see a coming together of two parts of America that had been apart and were becoming a single part. And there is still much work left to be done. There is still a great deal of work left to be done. But that was a beginning and an almost tangible moment, I think. For our family, it was a personal moment. But I think also for the country and for many of the people in this state, it was a moment where, the most agricultural state within the United States came out and voted for one of the most urban candidates, that there ever has been. And my dad was so proud of that. I want to tell you that one of the last things he wrote, he had gotten a call from Senator McGovern, and on a number of precincts at the reservation, had voted 100% for Bobby Kennedy. And it's so good. And, he wrote on a note card, Oregon, 100%. And I just think that for us, that is just such a great, I'm sorry, Jesus, what did I, South Dakota, South Dakota, 100%. And, sorry. And, but for us, that's an amazing moment. It's almost unique to get that kind of a number, and that he was taking joy in that, on the day of this primary was so terrific. One of my best friends was the son of the author Norman Mailer, and Norman's favorite, his best friend was this boxer named Jose Torres. Do you guys know Jose Torres? Some of the people do. So Jose was, he never lost a fight. He was supposed to be the smartest boxer that had ever fought. And he lost one fight near the end of his career to Emil Griffith, who was supposed to be the toughest, meanest fighter. And Emil killed someone in the ring. And so Jose beat him, and everybody said, Emil, he beat you because he's smarter than you. And it infuriated Emil Griffith, and he watched all of the films of Jose Torres fighting, and he figured out, these small weaknesses that he had. And they had a rematch in Madison Square Garden, and it was just a brutal, brutal fight. Jose got knocked down twice. They had to cut his eye open so that he could see. And in the 12th round, he got knocked down a third time. And when he stood up, the ref went over to him and gave him a standing 8 count. And he said, I want you to tell me your name, the date, and where you are, or I'm stopping this fight now. And Jose Torres could hardly lift his fist, but he was trying to. And he turned to the ref and he said, my name is Jose Torres. Today is March 23rd, 1962. I'm in Madison Square Garden, and Emil Griffith is beating the shit out of me.